So here we go. This is the How to Sell More Cars Mastermind Group. My buddy Mike, the car guy Correra, is our very first guest, which is only fitting because when I started my podcast, my last podcast, which I haven't done in about a year, I started to Get You Some radio show. I think Mike was the second guest I ever had on there because he is my go-to guy when it comes to stuff in terms of a lot of social selling and social media stuff and the building your personal brand and kind of thing. He's been on the forefront of that. He's had every job I think you can have at a dealership, from turning wrenches to taking turnovers. He's done it all, and now he's an account manager for Dealer Built, and he's traveling around Southern California and all the way up to where'd you say, Riverside? Where
Santa Maria. I'm from San Diego to Santa Maria, so I'm
all the way up in California, talking to 50 dealerships about their DMS. So we'll start there. So you're traveling now. You're out in the dealerships 3 or 4 days a week. What are you seeing? How are things functioning right now? This is a weird time for everybody in the car business.
Weird, I think, is the key word. You know, I've been doing this 35 years. I got in the car business in '87 and started turning wrenches. Got into sales right after that, and of course, it went downhill from there. But I've never seen anything like it. You know, I've seen more blacktop in the last 6-8 months than I've ever seen in my life. I never realized dealerships had that much property until all of a sudden it's open and that's all you see. Yeah. I've got some pretty substantial sized dealerships that I work with here in Southern California, some of the biggest in the nation, and they're running out of cars pretty quickly.
Yeah, running out of new cars. How's the used cars? I know some dealers are managing to find some used cars. They ain't cheap, but they're not
cheap, but they're selling them for all the money too. So, right. And that's the other side. You know, yes, the inventory is hard to get, but banks are not afraid to spend money. I mean, they're going along with this artificial inflation of values. You know, book on these cars is going up instead of going down, and the banks are loaning on it just like it's any other time. So they're selling them and they're making all the money. They may be selling less cars, but I don't know of a single dealership that I work with, and that's, like I said, just over 50, that isn't making more money than they've ever made before.
Making more money with less cars. And I had this conversation last week with Ryan Girardi. I was doing a conversation with him. We were recording for something, and we're having that. And this is, you know, everything that's happened in the last year and a half is really kind of solidified some changes that you and I have been talking about in the car business for a while. And it's making the physical location of the dealership really ancillary, because the actual business of the dealership is taking place where we are out in the internet. And it's taking place over text and over phone and over chat and everything else. And there's got to be a physical component to it. But all that property that you're talking about, that's becoming really kind of less and less important. And I think maybe people are noticing that when they got these empty lots and they're still making all the money.
Yeah, and consumers now, it's not as much we're trying to wow the consumers with a digital experience. Their expectation has surpassed our willingness to do it in the industry. There's still a lot of folks in this business that think it's kind of a wow factor. Oh, if we offer customers the ability to text or, you know, FaceTime or whatever, that we're going to surprise them. But you know what? I can get a home mortgage on my phone in less than 5 minutes. I can order a pizza. I can order anything off Amazon. It's going to get delivered sometimes the same day. So consumers are just used to doing it. It's no longer a wow factor. They're kind of wondering why the car business hasn't caught up to that type of expectation. So the ones that are doing it out there and meeting the customers in the atmosphere that they're already in are the ones that have the advantage. We used to say, 10 years ago when you and I first started to connect and our friendship started, we used to say you can meet the customers online where they already are and spending their time, or you can greet them on the lot when they come in to ask for the guy that they connected with online, and you just go back to standing out on the point waiting for your turn. It's not an option anymore. Then the guys that are doing it well are making the money.
The competition isn't the car dealership down the street. It's every other person that they're doing business with, and every other company that they're doing business with, and it's all happening digitally, or at least a great huge percentage of it is happening digitally and out in the Ethernet. Out in the ether, out in the big wide world. What else is changing? What else is happening at the dealerships? Are you seeing and noticing in just this year?
I think, the idea of doing everything online still is just an idea. I have a group that's a 6-store group here in Southern California. Last month in August, the combined number of the sales that the store did, or the stores, all 6 of them, was just over 400.
Yeah.
And out of that 400, they're a smaller group, a couple of Highline dealers, only 6 of those sales were done completely online, whereas all the contracts were, sent to a device. The customer signed on the device, everything was done, and the salesperson just had to deliver the vehicle and go over the features at the customer's house or home, place of work. So 6 out of 400, still a small percentage.
Yeah.
And I really think when you look at the numbers across the nation, that's even a inflated percentage because of the area it's at and it's a Highline vehicle. But if you look at the number of cars that are being sold right now, the percentage that are completely online, where they don't have any physical interaction on the dealership premises, is still so infinitesimally small. And to focus so much of your attention and your business model to that really, really small number is a little bit scary. People still need to drive the car. They still want to feel the car. They still want to get to know somebody. This is a people business, always has been, it's always going to be. And the one that does the best job developing that relationship, whether it's through pictures that you post or, interesting posts where the customer feels like, oh, I kind of have an idea of who this person is that I'm going to be doing business with, whatever it is, whether you're texting the customer, how good you are at texting. I was talking with a salesperson Monday afternoon, and he was asking me some questions, because when I'm at the store, inevitably I'll end up talking about other things than DMS performance. Sales is sales. People are saying, hey, what's the dealership down the road doing? What are some good practices out there that you're seeing? And I was looking at a CRM with a customer or a salesperson, and he's got a good conversation going with the customer. And he was showing me as an example, like, what am I doing wrong here? And he got to a point where the customer was pretty much saying, I'm ready to come in. So he put his phone number in the text box. Fantastic. Give me a call and I'll set up an appointment. And I looked at him, I go, you really need me to explain what's missing here? And he goes, yeah, how did I, because the customer just kind of ghosted me after that. I was like, you're in a medium that the customer says, I'm comfortable chatting with you. They're typing back and forth. You got like 20 messages back and forth. They're comfortable there. Now you want to take them out of there into something that you're comfortable with. And that's the problem we've always had in the car business, is we try to force the customer to buy the car the way we want to sell it, right?
Yeah.
You got to come in. You got to come into the dealership. And that's basically what you did with giving him your phone number. If he wanted your phone number, if he wanted to call you, he would have called in the first place, because that chat box is on your website. You know what's also on your website? Your phone number.
Yeah.
He could have called and saved himself that effort, but he's comfortable doing the texting. So you should have said, right now, this afternoon, 3:00, I've got it open. Tomorrow morning, you should have given him a couple options to come in right there when you felt like he was ready to come in. Yeah. And then it's just kind of started to dawn on him that, oh, you know what, that's just the way I've always been. I've always, tried to get him on the phone to close that appointment. You had him talking. You don't need to necessarily have him on the phone, so that the idea of doing everything online is still kind of scary to some people. But you just got to step back and realize how much of it is online and how much, the customers still want to come into the dealership. There's no shortage of people wanting to buy cars right now, as we've seen. Right. There's lines out the door, and the consumer really, they're walking into the dealership thinking, hey, you guys are in a pandemic. You're probably desperate to sell a car. And then they get down to the dealership and they find that there's no cars. So the one they find, they got to jump on it right now. It's really a good time to be a salesperson in the car business. But we still need to pay attention to the way the customers want to communicate.
So so much of that is we have process. It's all people in process, and we have these processes to say, okay, step 2, get them on the phone. So that's and that's where you get stuck at that point. Step 2. How much of the fact that only 1.5% in your scenario, 1.5% of the people buying cars that from that group actually completed the transaction online? How much of that do you think is the fact that our process is leading them to a physical thing, and how much of it is their desires to touch and feel and actually show up at the store?
I believe honestly that there's still a lot of impulse in car buying. There's still a lot of touch feel that, customers can do all the research they want. And how many customers have you seen back in the day when I was on the line that came in that they thought they had their car picked out? They wanted a Thunderbird. You know, I was a Ford salesman for many, many years. And they said, oh man, Thunderbirds, I've done my research. I looked at consumer reports and all the information that they had back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
And then they got down there and they sat in it and they were like, you know what? Gosh, I'm not comfortable in this car. It's not what I thought it was going to be. It looked great on the pictures and in the magazines, but it's just not what I thought it was going to be. And then they go into something else. That still happens. People do all the research they want. They get down to the lot and maybe it doesn't fit them the way they thought it was going to fit them. And maybe they're a shorter person or a taller person or visibility. Cup holders. I mean, I've lost car deals over cup holders. So you never know what the consumer is going to experience and what's really driving them. And doing it all online, you kind of miss some of that. So it's important, if you're going to be doing it online, that you make sure the customer sits in the seat before they consummate the deal. Get the car out to them. Let them drive it. There are a lot of dealers that are doing a lot of great things with extended test drives. You know, let them have it for a day, let them have it for 2 days, and then put a couple miles on it and take it to the store, put it in their garage, make sure it fits. There's no limit to how creative you can be. And the ones that are being creative are the ones that are capturing the deals.
The puppy dog clothes, baby, the oldest time. So you and I have been talking about, I mean, you've been selling cars socially. I mean, we've talked about the first car you sold off of LinkedIn years and years ago, and you've sold cars on LinkedIn and Instagram and on Facebook and everything else. But one of the things that we wanted to talk to you about today was Google My Business. I know in addition to the work that you're doing with dealers for the DMS work for Dealer Built, you work with some other businesses a lot, improving their social profiles, their social footprint, and Google My Business. So let's get into Google My Business compared. So I tell everyone, in terms of social media, since I talk a lot about social media, Facebook is the 800-pound gorilla because it is social media. But Google isn't the 800-pound gorilla. They're the zoo, right? They got everything. So what is Google My Business, and how can dealers use it to sell more cars?
Google is the internet these days. And I was telling a friend of mine, Kathy Cruz, I'm sure you know her.
I know Kathy, yeah.
I kind of gave it to her in an explanation. When I was in like 6th or 7th grade, I was the TA for one of my classes. And I had a teacher that would always need copies of stuff made, but she would always say, do me a favor, run down to the office and give me a Xerox of this. And one day, because I'm a smartass, I looked at her and I said, you realize it's not a Xerox machine, it's a Canon copier. So do you want me to make you a Canon of this?
Right.
And she looked at me, she goes, don't be smartass. So,
right.
but at the, and I could say it today, if I need a copy, I could ask someone, can I Xerox this? And they know that I need a copy. They know that a Xerox is the actual copy machine. It's not the process of making a copy, right. But that name, that brand has become synonymous with making copies, right? How many times a day does someone say, hey, do you know the answer to this question? And somebody else goes, did you Google it? No one says, did you Bing it? Did you Yahoo it? Google is the internet for all intents and purposes. So in my opinion, and I'm not the smartest guy in the whole world, but in my opinion, if we know that everyone's on Google, that's the place to really focus some attention. And the benefit of Google My Business pages is it's free. There's no cost to it. It's kind of like a Yellow Pages online, if you will. Yes, there's a Yellow Pages online. There's all these business listings, but Google does it better than anybody else does it. 60% of all searches on Google are for something local to whoever's doing that local search, right? And most of those are for a business of some type, whether you're searching for a pizza company or a dry cleaner or a car dealership. 65% of the time people are searching something on Google, it's for a local business. And 90% of those searches show a Google My Business listing. And the Google My Business listing, for any of the folks that are watching that don't understand it, when you search something in Google, you search car dealership near me or Ford dealership near me, most of the time you're going to get a bar on the right side of the screen that has a business listing. It looks kind of like a Yellow Pages listing. There'll be a picture of the dealership, the phone number, hours, link to the website, that kind of thing. That's your Google My Business page. That's the business owns that, basically. They should go in, claim it, update it, fill it out with everything that you can, services, products, the whole spiel. If you're a car dealership, you need to have all your models of vehicles listed in there with pictures. You need to have all the services you offer. Some businesses, I'm sure Eric can attest, some businesses will create departments for your parts, your service department, your quick lane, your fleet service department, your body shop. There's no limit. And the more information you have there, the less likely the customer is going to need to click out of that Google page and go someplace else. If they're just looking for your number, your phone number, if they're looking for your hours, if they're looking, you want to keep them captive to your dealership. So the more you can fulfill that, the better, or the higher your chances that they're going to do business with you. Yeah. We know that people are visual creatures, right? Instagram is a very popular application. Why? People like to look at pictures. So if there's pictures in there for your dealership that show something unique, you know, whether it's the dealership frontage or some vehicles on the lot, maybe, you know, get crazy. If there's a sunset behind the dealership with the flag waving, you know, there's no limit to how creative you can get. Those pictures are going to get viewed. And if someone's looking at a picture of your dealership, the chances are they're going to remember it and come to see you. It all ties in together. It's all circular. It's not, you know, brain surgery, and I'm not the first person to promote it. I just happen to focus a lot of attention on it. A long time ago with Google, back when Google Plus was a thing, you know, I was a beta user with Google Plus before they opened it out to the world. I started taking pictures of everything I do. Everywhere I go, I take pictures. And then I go to either the Google My Business or the Google Maps listing for that. And I upload those pictures and I share them. Just, that's me. It's what I like to do. It's kind of a fun thing that I enjoy doing. The images that I've shared onto Google have been viewed 58 million times.
That's incredible.
58 million times. I don't know who's looking at those pictures, but people are. I mean, I have pictures of dealerships that have got 3 to 5 million views. So that means someone that went to that Google My Business or Google Maps, you know, they found ABC Motors, they clicked into the pictures and they looked at the pictures that have been posted for that dealership. So
and just to clarify, so what you're doing, you spend a lot of time on the road at dealerships. If you go into Joe Bob's Ford store in Santa Maria, you take a picture of Joe Bob's flag and you post it on Joe Bob's Google My Business page.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So those 58 million views are happening on the dealer's, you know, real estate.
Yes, and I consider that added value. I mean, I perform a service for them when I'm helping out their team to become more efficient at what they're doing and sell more cars or write more ROs or, you know, sell more parts over the counter. But also when I go home, I try to help them because I want to increase their exposure online. I want to get them, you know, seen in a positive light, because sometimes, you know, not all people are nice people. There are people that maybe had a negative experience with a dealership, and they'll put pictures up there that maybe don't put the dealership in the most positive light. So the more the better, right? If I've got some pictures, and because I am a Google local guide, level 8 local guide, for whatever reason, Google puts my pictures a little bit ahead of someone that's not posted anything before, because they're like, hey, this guy's posted 18,000 pictures. So his pictures are going to get kind of placed up higher on the rotation. So the chances of seeing a picture that I posted far and away exceed the chances of someone that's just had one picture that they put on a review of, you know, an oil stain on a carpet. That picture is going to get pushed down to the bottom, where my picture of the outside with a nice car. Yeah, I posted a picture recently of a lifted Bronco at a Ford dealership. It's already gotten like 19,000 views. It's been up there a week. Yeah. So people have gone to that dealership's Google Maps or Google My Business page, and they've clicked through the pictures and they've stopped on that picture and they've looked at it. So that's a lot of eyeballs that dealership is getting for free at you know, just an added value for me being there.
So my big question about Google My Business is, of course, Google, it said, is the Xerox of search engines. It started as the search engine. What is the correlation between Google My Business and Google search? Does all the effort you put into Google My Business, does it boost your search visibility, or is it really a completely separate thing?
No, it definitely helps. Keep in mind that the one purpose that Google exists for is to serve up content to the end user that specifically meets their needs. Yes, you can pay for a listing, but we know that most of the time people aren't clicking those, okay? But Google, when you type in Ford dealership near me or Ford dealership in this zip code or new specials, whatever you type in, Google's purpose is to give you the content specifically for you, not only local to your area, but as closely matched to what you typed in as possible. So those Google My Business listings need to match what you're trying to find. So the more content that's in there, there's Google Posts that you can use. Like I said, the product pages, the services, everything in there, the more that it matches what the customer is looking for, the higher the chances. Not only will that Google My Business listing come up, but other lists, your website, your Yelp page, your any review site. The more that you can put into that Google My Business, the more it's going to associate with other things, and you'll get 8 or 9 listings out of that first search. And that's really what you want. A lot of people promise, I can get you on page 1 of a Google search. Well, with what terms, in what context? That doesn't guarantee anything. But the more content that's out there, and pictures count as content, posts count as content. And the plus thing about pictures is it's something like, if I was a dealer GM right now, I would have as many of my boys that were willing to taking pictures and posting them to not only my Google My Business page, but to my Yelp listing. I check in when I'm at a business on their Yelp page. I'm not big on leaving reviews, but I like to check in because it's just fun. It's something I do. And those pictures all help too. Those pictures get viewed. So I'm always posting pictures. When I was a GSM, I encouraged everybody, take a picture. If you see something that's cool on the lot that you would share maybe to your Facebook page, why not share it to Google My Business? Why not be proud of working here and show off why you work here? If you're going to make an Instagram post that has the dealership in it, make sure that gets put up to the Google My Business page as well. I encouraged it. And the dealership that I left that had a really good support of doing it, they're getting between 350 and 400,000 views in a 28-day span of just their pictures.
Yeah. So there's your pro tip, and that's my big thing is getting everyone posting more pictures everywhere, because they call it Facebook for a reason. It's about putting faces on there. But if you're in sales and you're taking pictures and you're putting on your Instagram and your Facebook, you don't have to be an admin to post them on your dealership's Google My Business page. Just like
That's
you're
right.
not the admin for all 50 of your stores that you're in and
No,
out
sir.
of.
No, sir.
Anybody can go post those. So if you're taking those pictures, here's another opportunity for you to share them and another opportunity for you to get your name out there. So let's do this. We got probably got about 5-10 minutes here left. Let's pick 3 things. 3 things. If you're a dealer, if you're an internet manager at a dealership, or even if you're just a salesperson, what's 3 things we can do with Google My Business? How do you start optimizing and using Google My Business? 3 action steps that we can take.
Well, that's assuming you've claimed it, and you're not having a third party manage it for you. If you're having a third party manage it for you, the most important thing for me that I always recommend is inspect what you expect. Because I've seen, and I can share with you dozens of really poorly written posts that, use bad grammar, you can tell when a third party vendor is not familiar with automotive, because there's a language that we use. There's a language that the customers use. When you're just using vanilla terms that are just obvious that you don't know anything about the cars that you're talking about, it doesn't help you, because then Google's not stupid either, right? They didn't become who they are by being dumb. Their algorithms know what's advertising speak as opposed to what's actual common speak. So when you're writing your post, don't try to write it for SEO, because then it'll get kicked out, or it'll just get pressed down to the next, it'll get drowned into oblivion. Write it for the customers that are looking for these things. Write it in real language, write it in car language. But if you're going to be having somebody do it for you, inspect what you expect. Go into your Google My Business postings, look through them, see what's being said about your store on your behalf. If you're not familiar with it, then shame on you. You get what you deserve. And if you're getting poor quality, that's on you, because there's nothing stopping you from calling them up and going, hey, that post you put up there, it's not really relevant. It doesn't help me promote the dealership. It doesn't talk about what makes us unique or special. It doesn't, promote what this product is. I've seen Ford dealerships that had a Jeep Wrangler post, and when I brought it to their attention, then they called the company. They're like, oh, you know what? We were posting for so many dealerships, we lost track, and we ended up putting this brand new Jeep Wrangler Rubicon post on a Ford dealer's Google My Business page. So, it can happen.
Yeah. So number one, if you claim it, and if you haven't claimed it, someone else will claim it for you. Inspect it, make sure you're getting what you were promised.
Inspect it regularly. Look at it. See what's going on it. Make sure whoever's posting for you is doing what you want them to do. Second thing is make sure it's complete. Make sure you have all the products that you offer. If you're a Honda dealership, make sure you have each model presented on the products page. Make sure you list your services with all the subsections filled out, because you can list everything that you do. The more information, the better it is to help you serve, help Google serve you up to people that are looking specifically. And the third thing I would do is encourage everyone to participate. I used to say all the time, if I make my dealership someplace that people are proud to work at, when they get up in the morning, they look forward to coming to work for me, we're all benefiting from it. And one of the ways that you can do that is saying, hey, our existence is as much up to you as up to me. I might be the GM and I'm stroking the check for the advertising, but there's nothing stopping you from helping out as well. Jump in, post some pictures, put a post up on Facebook. If the sunrise or the sunset in the evening looks nice as it's coming through the showroom window, share it with somebody. If you see a cool, car that's out on the lot and you like the way the light's hitting it, take a picture, share it, put it up on the page. There's nothing stopping you. And we all do that together, and pretty soon you got, 500, 800, 1,000 pictures on your Google My Business page, and you're getting 300,000 views a month. That's going to translate into sales. Can I connect the dots specifically and say, well, this dealership had 447,000 views of its pictures on its Google My Business and Google Maps page, so therefore they sold this many cars? I can't do that. But I know that some of the 1,500 and some phone calls they got in that 28-day period, and over 1,000 clicks to directions. A person doesn't click for directions unless there's an intent there. That's a KPI. To me, click for directions is a KPI. They want to know where your dealership's at for a reason. They plan on going there. Yes, there's some people that may say, oh, well, it's too far away, I'm not going to go there. But there's still a reason they're clicking for directions. So phone calls, clicks to the website, and clicks to directions are all connected to those photo views.
I think you touched on what I think is the most obvious hidden secret in the car business. I actually wrote about this in Dealer Marketing a couple of months ago. Every dealership, their most valuable marketing tool is almost completely underutilized in every dealership. I don't know any dealership that's making full value of their biggest sales tool, and that's their employees. When you can turn every employee into an evangelist, because every employee has access to Google, every employee has access, and not just the sales team. The receptionist she got friends on Facebook. She can hit up Google My Business just like anything else. So you have this built-in sales force who has this built-in army of people who already know, like, and trust them, and hardly anyone is using it to its full value.
Right. We're too busy trying to compete against a dealership down the street, and we're not making enough of the resources we have available to us.
Yeah. All right, Eric, you got anything that you want to add, or tell us how are you guys using Google My Business?
Man, I tell you, Mike's got it pretty well set up. I will kind of expand on what he said about the parts department and service department. You've got, any dealership's got 5 or 6 separate stores underneath one rooftop, and Google does allow you to monetize, well, not necessarily monetize that, but departmentalize it. So if you really want to go after your local Napa store or Christian Brothers or whoever it is, you've got a body shop or parts department, your used car, if you have a separate used car department, as long as you've got they usually kind of mandate that you have a door for that department with a name on that door for that department, you're pretty well able to have a separate store for that, and it really does help. Our used car lot is across the street or down the street, and you'll see the amount of traffic that both of those sites get. But yeah, it's a huge opportunity.
Yeah,
and the
I have a
biggest
store
thing,
that has a quick lane.
Free.
Yeah, exactly. It's free. I have a store that's got a quick lane. That's a standalone quick lane just for oil changes. And they realized that, well, I was working there when we realized it, but we realized that the competition for the quick lane wasn't from any other car dealership. It was from the Valvoline quick oil change down the street, the Jiffy Lubes. We started throwing those words in there. We're a proud provider of Valvoline oil change, supplies. We'll get you in and out in a jiffy. And those words started to populate. So when people were searching Jiffy Lube, inevitably they'd see the quick lane for the dealership. and they've continued that, and they've done real well. Because they know who their competition is.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Eric, how many Google My Business pages do you guys have then?
Total, I manage 7. No, I'm sorry, 8, because we have a medium duty service as well. So
Beautiful.
So fleet. Fantastic, guys. I appreciate you. Mike, any closing words of wisdom for, we didn't talk about this. I promised everybody we're going to talk about hot rods. Mike, he got to start in social media taking pictures of cars. He runs a coffee and cars group there in Southern California. So he's always taking pictures of that. And I promised everyone we're going to talk about 80s ska music. I got a new band. I don't know if you knew this. It's a 90s ska band called the Interrupters. I've gotten really into. Have you heard this? Have you heard this band?
Oh, I haven't.
The Interrupters, look them up. I'm gonna send you a link. They are phenomenal. I was listening to some 80s music one day and they popped in. And I was like, but Alexa, who is that? And so I wanted to know. So hot rods and ska music and cars. That's all about Mike the Car Guy.
That's my life. I don't have any hobbies. I don't golf. I don't fish. But once a month I gather up 300 or 500 hot rods in Riverside, in the Riverside Auto Center, and we have a great morning.
Mike, thanks for coming on. Eric, thanks for
Thank you
listening in. I'm going to post this in the group, and so you guys comment, share there, and share anything that you think of later on. Let's try to keep the conversation going on, and everybody have a great night.
Thanks so much, man. Good to see you.
thanks, appreciate it.